that we might actually have to come. But I would like to start by introducing our amazing panelists. So I'll read some short bios I have, and then we'll jump into our panel. So right next to me I have Guillaume Schmidt. Guillaume is the co-founder of Pata, a globally recognized Amsterdam-based streetwear brand that blends fashion, art, and culture. Pata is celebrated for its bold designs and collaborations with renowned brands like Nike, Asics, and Converse, as well as its commitment to uplifting underrepresented communities. Guillaume is a cultural innovator who uses fashion as a medium to connect people, celebrate diversity, and inspire creativity. A round of applause for Guillaume, please. And then next to Guillaume, we have Eben Badu. Eben is the co-founder of the New Originals, which is a creative streetwear brand based in Amsterdam that champions functionality and innovation in design. TNO focuses on empowering creatives across various disciplines, often promoting the mantra, think outside the box. Eben's work reflects a dedication to emerging culture, art, and community, while fostering spaces for younger creators to thrive. A round of applause for you, please. And then last but not least, we have the wonderful Wana. Wana is the founder of Blueprint, a cross-cultural engagement platform designed to connect like-minded individuals who share similar visions but may not have direct access to one another. Drawing from her extensive background in hospitality, she thrives on fostering meaningful connections that drive collective growth and benefit the greater good. Round of applause for Wana, people. So I know you already kind of attempted to respond to my first question. I shouldn't have told you to my first question. But could you please tell us what Blueprint is, what led you to Blueprint, and also touch a little bit on craft, which you haven't mentioned yet. And it's also not a new line.
Yeah. Thanks, Sunny. So I think maybe the genesis of Blueprint started when I was doing Crafted, which was a clothing brand I started in 2020. I did feel as if, because I had no background in fashion design or fashion business management, I think I did struggle to kind of find the resources to kind of assist me in that learning. A couple of years ago, I spent a year or so in Amsterdam, which is when I came across Eben and G through, a friend of a friend connecting you. So I found myself in this kind of environment where I was like, okay, I have contacts from this place and contacts from this place. So how can we kind of like help people to learn from each other just based off that? People doing the same thing in different places, people in different, levels or, different levels in their career. And how can we bring those people together and like allow them to learn from each other? It's also interesting because, in Kenya, we have all these designers. And I think like it's innate for us to practice like sustainable practices, whereas in other places in the world, different practices are taken into consideration. So it's not even a matter of, I've been doing this for 2 years, I've been doing this for 10 years. I feel like no matter how long you've been doing something, that knowledge exchange is beneficial for everyone, Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Wana. I was telling Wana when we were talking about this panel that one of my biggest frustration with panels is that they always end just as they're getting really good. So my strategy for this panel is to kind of start with the questions that we will ask towards the end of a panel and then sort of go from there. So the first question I'd like to pose to the three of you is, what's been the most important lesson or lessons that you've learned on your entrepreneurial journeys?
That's a good question. Well, I think a very important question, but that's also maybe because because of the place where we are from and where we are doing our business and everything like that, it's like I think it's very important to kind of know yourself. You know, I think this is a very important thing for when you do business, how you treat people, and how you conduct whatever you are doing. Obviously, blackness is something that is different in Europe than it is in the US or than it is in the continent, you know? So for us in Europe, in the global north, the West, so to speak, it's very important for people that look like ourselves to kind of dig into who they are, you know? I think that's a very good starting point. So I think that is that is it for me.
Thank you. Yes. Can you? Of course. So, what's been the most important lesson you've learned on your entrepreneurial journey so far? If you had to pick one lesson.
Yeah. I think it's just the magic of sometimes making choices without thinking too much about the choice you made, and then maybe just in retrospect check out if the choice was good and bad or bad. And sometimes I notice that in my environment or myself that we tend to think too much about if the color should be blue, red, or green, whereas maybe you should just go for blue, and then in retrospect you should just look back if it was a good choice or not. Because we have so much limited time, so we don't have so much time to discuss about which color it should be, but we should rather just make choices, trust our intuition in terms of our taste, and just move, I would say.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with what Eben said. I think, yeah, both of them. Yeah, knowing yourself, leaning into it, and doing something my heart really sounds. So I don't know how much I add on that.
But I have a follow-up question for you off of what Guillaume said, which is this kind of like the politics of race and politics of blackness in the fashion space. And as a founder of a brand and a business that's based here in Nairobi, where for the most part black is the majority, I wonder how that sort of like comes into play in your practice, if at all.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think like a lot of people have this experience where like they grow up in Africa, the continents, and then the only time they realize they're black is when they maybe travel overseas for school. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like in Kenya, having that kind of majority definitely comes into play. Although we're also from Nairobi, which is very diverse. So I think also seeing how people react to your creations based off their past experiences is interesting. I think also for me, like, when you look at the people who are buying it, it may not be the actual people you thought would buy it. Yeah. So that's also interesting, but yeah. It's just, yeah, I guess it's an ongoing conversation of like understanding how you are perceived or how your work is, how your work responds to other people, I guess, yeah.
Thank you. And that's actually gives me a really good segue to our next question, which again is posed to the three of you. So, all of you have had the opportunity to expand your ventures outside of your initial territories of establishment, if you will, and for Guillaume and Eben, I wonder if there's any, I don't want to use the word peculiarities, but I think I've written a better word, insights or unique characteristics that you have learned as your ventures have expanded on the African continent. Because I know that between the two of you, you kind of have a presence, whether retail or otherwise, in Ghana, in Lagos, in South Africa. and having been based and having quite an established footprint in Europe, is there anything that is unique about the African market and consumer? And if so, what stands out to you?
Yeah, no, it was a total new experience for me. Actually, it was really a turning point for me to experience Africa when I went to Lagos. That was like my first time that I was in, I would say, Black Africa, because I went to Morocco, like North Africa. So for me, it was definitely a turning point for what Pata is and could be. I think we went there for the first time for homecoming, and that's quite some years ago now. And I also really saw and experienced, like, how fast things developed in the continent in terms of creativity, in terms of, like how things that started very small could turn out within 2-3 years into something that is really big and also very unparalleled. And it also really opened my eye to what is Western gaze in the practical way, like actually experience it or to read about it, because I thought I was quite aware of it, but after going to Lagos, it was a really different experience for me. And we always say that, like, for a Pata store to exist, it kind of needs to connect with its surroundings so it can add on to culture, because we always want to be a part of community. And when big brands or whatever talk to us about community and blah blah, we're not really that interested, because we are really like, yeah, that's what we are ourselves, but we are more interested in talking about culture, because that is what feeds community and that's what directs it into the good direction. So when I think about Lagos, in comparison to the opening of the shops like in London and Milan, we really had to definitely take our time to get to know people and to really dig into what was going on over there. And I think the main difference for us there was that the London shop and the Milan shop are totally owned by me and Edson, But as we are black men and we are going to the continent, we really wanted to make sure that the Lagos chapter store, we're working with Nifemi, Nambello, Lanre, and Jomi from WAF, that they would have ownership, because what we didn't want to do is do what they have been doing and going at it from an imperialistic way. With some cool guys from the West trying to open up a shop and to kind of take and not give. In a sense, whatever happens in the West is kind of what the past is. The future is in Africa, and everybody knows that, So it's only a matter of time that other brands will also dig into this and go at this. And so we definitely wanted to set a standard there. We wanted to make sure that when we go to Africa, even though we are black, this is their place, you know what I mean? So they need to have ownership first. So that's how we went at it, and I think that was a really big.
Yeah, for us, it's the amount of unique stories that's still being untold on a bigger scale. Me spending time here in Nairobi, learning about the tribes, learning about the immigration part from some parts of the world, different languages, countries coming over to emigrate. Same for Ghana, same for South Africa. We are very connected to stories, and sometimes I forget that when, let's say, Elon Musk now posts something, someone living in the Westlands or somewhere else in Nairobi also gets the same tweet as I do. So nowadays as well, with the notifications, with messaging, we are the same information I receive in Amsterdam. A kid that grows up here also gets the same information. So we are now in this whole global village, And I think as well, empowering black culture in Europe side, but as well in the side of Africa. G mentioning WAF. Now you also have Free the Youths. In South Africa, you have Broke Boys. The list goes. You have Fifendi in Nigeria. So the list goes on and on when it comes to let's say, brands from the continent really trying to claim their space and telling their own story, which is very attractive to me.
Thanks, thank you. And one of the questions we use is almost like the reverse. So having a brand that is Kenyan and trying to access almost like global market. What was your experience? Because I know that you had a couple of activations in Zambia, in Ghana, and a few in Amsterdam. So I wondered if you could reflect about some of the learnings from that.
So I think in the past 2 years we were able to pop up in Zambia and Amsterdam. Which were both, I guess, completely different experiences. First of all, Craft in Nairobi purely existed online. So now taking it to first Zambia, I think. A friend just called me and was like, "Yo, come over, let's do this." And of course, a lot of similarities, like the vibe, the conversations, everything was very similar to here. I didn't really feel far from home. But now even going to Amsterdam, like we even had to tailor our clothes differently because the average height, I think, in Amsterdam is quite tall. So even just like navigating these different cultural differences had to be taken into consideration to even like begin thinking about doing something like that. Intriguing experiences. I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you. The kind of like approach that you talk about, that Pata used in its expansion across the continent, I think is so beautiful because it has such a self-awareness. One, not to replicate what you call this sort of like very imperial model of just coming and like establishing a store within a certain locality, but spending time to really understand the specific dynamics and the kind of like wider ecosystem and leading to a place of collaborative practice and engagement as opposed to, I suppose, a place of like ego and hierarchy. And that's something that's evident across all your brands in how you collaboration and community is so important to the brand. Sometimes, in some cases, even more important than the product. And I wanted for all of you really to speak a little bit about that because I know that like the way that collaboration and community looks for each of you is so different. It's from a run club to a skate club to table tennis something. So yes, I'd like to hear your thoughts about why collaboration and community is so important to each of the brands.
Well, you know what? I think it's always interesting. You should have an open vision in, I think the willingness to learn is something that is one of the greatest goods that there is, And that's also why I started this conversation kind of with the importance of knowledge of self, because in order to collaborate with someone to the fullest extent, you first have to start with yourself and understand, this is what I'm very good at, this is what my values are, this is what I want to do, and you start with that research first. If that is grounded, now you can really go and actually give that person or that entity that same respect, You will do your research for them, but if they know very well who they are and what they are doing and what they are good at, you can find the middle ground, And in actuality, you will then fill up the spaces where they can add on, I think a lot of it, to me, is adding on to culture, I just want to really do great stuff. I just really want to meet amazing people. I really want to go to specific places, you know. And that's actually why we started the company, not knowing then, obviously, because then we were 23 years old and we just wanted to be cool and we just wanted to do good parties and we just wanted to do stuff with our friends. And a lot of it was vanity. But now, 20 years, the brand is almost more something that I cherished and nurtured like a child. You know what I mean? And it grew with me, and it grew with my ideas, and it grew with the obstacles that I faced. You know, the obstacles kind of made us who we are now. You know, closed doors. Moving in white spaces, you know, like, and one thing brings you to another. So I think that's what I want to say about that.
Yeah, for me, nowadays, I think social media is a very important factor. So, you know, I open TikTok, I see what's going on. I open Insta, I see what's going on. But maybe a few years ago, I checked out more on Hypebeast, or I checked out more of a magazine to be updated about some stuff. So nowadays, I know that, but it's been for some time, you know. For example, if you want to buy a car, you can be online, check out 20 reviews about someone that's like, you should buy this car because you just started a family. But then again, you can just meet one homie and he will tell you like, yo, you want to buy a car? You should buy this car. And then all of a sudden, all of these 20 suggestion videos that you saw on YouTube is irrelevant. So I just noticed that the power of speaking to people. Hey, how was your day today? I went to it's Blueprint. I checked out the conversation from G and Eben, and then people will be like, oh, okay, who are they? So I believe in this power. So most of the time when we do events, what you see is that. Yeah, I think number-wise, white people is the bigger majority of the consumers. They consume themselves in the clothing, and then when we do events, we get more people like us coming to these events. So it's funny that you have this type of duality. The consumers that buy themselves into this culture, and also people that don't buy themselves because they are part of this culture. So then you see people that want to be part of it and people that can consume because they buy themselves into this lifestyle. But to come back to it, I think the power of word of mouth is very important to me.
Could you repeat the question?
Oh my God.
Sorry. It was about collaboration.
Community
And collaboration. Yeah. I mean, I feel like everything is collaboration. Like Eben was saying, a conversation is collaboration. Like in Kenya, to make a T-shirt, you're collaborating with a tailor, you're collaborating with probably a border to bring the thing to you. Like everything really does involve like a community to make one thing come to life. And then now like even stretching that collaboration and I guess the community aspect into now like what Blueprint is. As Eben mentioned before, like just going for something. Like I didn't really know this is what I wanted to do, but I think we're better in numbers. The more people part of one conversation, the better. So it's important. It's necessary.
I think we'll open up for 2 or 3 questions before we close this panel. And obviously, that like no hands up here, that means that everything makes sense or nothing makes sense at all. We have one question. Yeah, so there you go. Maybe just before you ask, you can ask your question and then say who it's directed to.
Okay. I think I can. I don't know if this works, but that's okay. This one. Thank you. Oh, both. All right. My name is Topo. I'm from Ghana, Kumasi.
Hey.
And blessings for the
Aquaba.
that's media. And this is a general question to all the panelists. So I want to ask, what were the challenges that you guys faced coming up with your products and your brands? Any challenges you guys faced?
So we will take the second question and then.
Okay.
my question is for all of you guys. When I live abroad, but I'm Kenyan, and someone asked me like, "Oh, where do you get streetwear? Like, what's Kenyan streetwear saying?" I was like, actually, I don't know. So, from your perspective, both from someone who lives here and is in the scene, and from people who come in and see what Kenya has to offer, like, how would you describe Kenyan streetwear, and what would you say the state of Kenyan streetwear is today?
So, two big questions. First one around challenges, second one, what is Kenyan streetwear?
I think a big challenge is telling a story. So actually, that's not the biggest challenge, but to join a market that's already existing, I think it's very important to have this certain story about who you are, where you come from, what do you offer, etc. And I think that was the longest trajectory, because there is this game whereby you have, let's say, 10 people or 20 people in a circle. So I whisper something in G's ear. I whisper the red car, and then you make the whole circle of the 20 people. And if that's Wana and it's still the red car, that means the story is strong. But when it ends with her and let's say the elephant's teeth, then it's like, okay, wow, something went off in that story. So I feel like the strongest companies have the best stories to tell, and it's very easy transferable in that sense. And then the rest just come from itself, money is transferable, time is not transferable, so you just have to make choices, and then in retrospect you look back if it looked nice on blue or in red or in green. And I think just to come back on your questions about Kenya and what it has to offer, when I look at it, I noticed that if you have East Africa and West Africa, you guys have very nice mountains here. So let's say performance wear, I see that as a very interesting part of what can be told. If I look into, let's say, the southern part of Europe, you have brands like Moncler, you have so many Stone Island, there's different kind of brands, and they really play with their mountains part. And I feel like if there was a brand coming from East Africa, because we are very high in the mountains, I think if you would embody that and claim that, I think this is something I haven't seen yet. And then just from there on, or maybe the tribes part, Maasai, it can be so many things. But I think to claim a story which is undeniable, and then telling it from there on, I think that can be something very groundbreaking. That's what I feel.
G? Go first.
So challenges and then challenges. I think challenges is kind of what makes the world go round. It's just literally never ending. I would say like big challenges, because you have big challenges and small ones. Big challenges is definitely, I think, a part of structure. That will also be something that I would definitely advise for anyone doing anything. Like structure, that in combination with if you want to grow, if you have that figured out, like I think you can quite build easily, and you can also face challenges easier. You won't break down that quick. Have a solid way of how you want to set up your company, how you want to set up whatever you want to do. Solid people around you, you're gonna be okay. And then when it comes to challenges, it's just something that is gonna be. You have to just have that awareness that will be something that's gonna be around you all the time. Actually, in fact, from the moment I landed here, I have just faced challenges. Were small challenges, but they were challenges. From suitcases not opening up to going to customs and to but the good thing is I like to go at it with a lot of humor. Like pain is the essence kind of vibe. You know what I mean? So when you talk about challenges, think about structure, think about a sense of humor, and be aware that it's always going to be around you. And that's actually a good thing. So that's that part. What was the other one?
The second one was around Kenyan streetwear.
Yeah, like super good question because I have no idea. Like I come in as a totally empty piece of paper, and I'm just gonna see around and look around. What I did notice already fairly quick is that there is naturals like you can buy style, you can like what Eben just mentioned too is like people, consumers can adjust to style, you can buy into everything basically. But natural style is a different thing, you know what I mean? So I look around already, and I haven't been in shops or in like this type of environment yet, checking brands, but I look at the people, of course. And then I already see that I even told Eben, like, yo, damn, man, people are really on their shit here, like, they look good, you know what I mean?
Yes, we do.
But that's also like, word up, man, power up. So that first, because also when I here came to the station and we walked a little bit, also we're like, oh damn, man, like even the stuff that's under the big umbrellas, like I told Eben, like, yo, you know what? I could make an outfit out of this stuff still. You know what I mean? So in that sense, it's already a different outlook than just like sometimes you have that type of stuff also, but it's just if I go to the Waterloo Square in Amsterdam and I go to some market type things, it's like I can walk around it 100 times and I can't find the outfit looking good. You know what I mean? But here in actuality, if I walk around on the street, I would naturally see like, okay, you know what, like it's kind of different, so there is a natural sense of style. So I guess like there is streetwear already, and it's already evolved, and it's already on a pretty high level. That's dope.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with what G said of like a challenge is really a blessing in disguise. Like even since we decided to do this event and this half a week of programming with these guys, like the journey has been so up and down. We've had to change things around to accommodate our resources or all this kind of stuff. So I think there's always a plan that you have, but it's not the real plan, you know what I'm saying? So really leaning into just like adjusting and understanding what you're probably meant to do, not what you want to do, and how that kind of like comes into actuality. Kenyan streetwear is dope, and this is why we're doing this, you see? Because I really did realize, like over the past few years, every time I tell people, oh yeah, like, you know, can we, like even when I was in Amsterdam, I was like, yo, let's bring some Kenyan brands out here, people are doing dope stuff. I was just in Lagos, like the same conversation. Everyone's like, what happens in Nairobi? I'm just like, oh, this has to change. And this is the reason why we're doing, this is the reason why Blueprint exists, as I mentioned earlier. All these sick guys, Audi, Akiba, Edmund, like, yeah, man, people are doing dope shit here, and can't wait for the world to kind of like tap into that, you know? Yeah.
I think maybe we can take 2 more questions before we... Okay, it's fine. One more. Okay. So Wana is cutting one more.
Hey guys, welcome to the whole Blueprint experience. Thank you, Wana, for having the past couple of days. Sunny and I have a question for all of you. So, somehow I think there's kind of a shared experience about your excess with your practice of fashion across the world. What have you done to bring it back home? Because we don't really shop at big stores, yet you collaborate with big brands. And even like the Paxton thing and the New we don't get to have those stores in Kenya, unless you're in South Africa, you know what I mean? But the shared, commonality is your blackness is very good. It's the best thing about what fashion is to the world. But what have you done to bring it back home? And how do you do it?
So Brian, the big question of like, when is the Mata store opening in there?
Yeah.
The original store opening in there.
Well, you know what the thing is, like Rome ain't building one day. No, but it's the truth, you know? Like we do and we work with what we got, you know what I mean? Like Pata went to investigate in Lagos, you know, and we took people serious, you know what I mean? So we opened up a store there. Like, one thing that you can say from us is that when we go somewhere and then when we go to places, and it's not something that you can always and easily do, you know, because just to exist with your blackness in the West is a thing, you know what I mean? Especially if you have morals and values. It's not like that, you know. So what we try to do is definitely, when opportunities arise, take the effort to actually go out and connect. And like, you know, when Wana asked me to do this, she's like, "Yo, you wanna?" I was like, "Yeah, you know what? Like, yo, let's do it. I'm curious. Let me go and find out. Like, you know." So the first connection is led. You know what I mean? Other than that, obviously, whatever we can do in terms of like, hey, you know what? We have a campaign like, yo, let's do something in South Africa, or let's do something in Morocco, or let's do something in territories or in places where we know people, though. You know what I mean? Like, I can try and do everywhere, but then I would do the same thing. I said, yo, it's cool to go to Africa. Let me do something in Zambia where I don't know nobody. I just give a bag of money, and that's what it is, you know? I'll do something in Lagos with Steve and Theo because I know my people over there. I know that the money helps him, and he can come and do a project with us and stuff like that. So I do take everything serious, and I take the time to build. Other than that, it's also a give and take situation, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta vote with your wallet, you know what I mean? People have to make choices. Like, you know, and people gotta make choices everywhere. Like, people gotta make choices in Europe, people gotta make choices in Africa. People can buy Louis Vuitton, like, you know, some really expensive stuff. But what's their answer gonna be when you ask a question like that? And that's actually the question that you actually have to ask yourself every time you consume. You know? So your question is a very good and very valid question, but it's a question that everybody has to ask themselves when they consume. Like, you know, what is it adding on and what is it doing for you other than cloud or looking? Like, you know, that's it.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me it's also more the trying to adjust everywhere you go. So we were having a conversation about Coca-Cola. So let's say when I go to a bar and I order one Coke with some citron ice, I pay €2.50, and that's maybe 13. I don't know the currency correctly, but it's let's say it's not the same amount, and then calculated, but it's more adjusted to the street value of it, and that's why I think that Coca-Cola can really be big in Europe, but also be big in Africa. It doesn't taste the same though, but it is the same product. Fanta also, you know, it doesn't taste the same in Holland. I like the one from here though, but you know, the ingredients, the things that you need, it's also different. So for us to really, let's say, prosper here, that means that we have to make the items a bit different, price-wise also a bit different, so it's more accustomed to the, let's say the area price. So hopefully with time we can also invest more into that. And I think coming from Europe, we have this big fantasy, you know, we have the art houses, we have the fashion houses, we got a brand like Hermes, they offer a scarf for €1,000, you know, and you can be like, why would you buy a scarf for €1,000? Where else you can buy a scarf also for €1? But is this art, is this story, is this elegance, is this house, is this like a whole story they tell you to buy this scarf for €1,000. So I think for us coming up as a brand from Europe, unconsciously, when you start a brand or a company, you have a certain pricing in mind, and that's equivalent to quality. But prices, I think, is not always linked with quality. So I think now we're also trying to be like, okay, what is quality, and how can you just offer it for a more accessible price, but at the same time wear it with the same proud as the Hermes scarf or the Louis Vuitton bag.
Thank you. Wana?
Can I pass? Just run me through the question one more time.
In essence, it was really around establishing or availing some of this highly desirable product on the continent and in Nairobi.
Yeah, I guess it's, based on what they both said, like making the first step, introducing them to the culture, introducing them to what's possible, and then from there just build off that. It takes time, and hopefully we're in the right trajectory to make stuff like that happen. But yeah.
Maybe I'll ask one closing question, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite things to ask at the end of panels. But in addition to, buying pattern, buying craft, buying the original, engaging with all the content you put out, how can we, fans of the three of you, but also each of you, how can we support you? What do you need, if anything? And this sort of touches on some of the things that everyone has said, as we're entering new territories, particularly on the continent, networks and relationships are so crucial into how you navigate those spaces. So maybe part-time looking for a dope photographer and videographer, we can be like, hey, 199X at your room, and that'd be a good person to connect with, maybe as a guy. So just, very briefly, to if there's anything we can need, if there's anything we can offer that you need, what do you need?
Well, it's quite a hard question. But, what do we need?
Maybe it's also a restaurant.
I guess it's just just openness and take it serious, and it's back and forth. So it can also be what do you need from Pata? You know what I mean? So if we have that conversation, it's not like I'm gonna say hey, what do you need? I'm gonna give it to you, but it definitely can be a conversation, because we will get closer to each other. That's how it needs to go. It's a transaction. Pata is not higher or lower, or people are connected to the brand. People are connected to the philosophy. So as long as you believe in that, then it's like a gospel, something that you can spread. Hey, you know what? This dude really showed up, and it's not like he trying to be in here on some oh, you know what? I know everything, and I've been everywhere, and I sell everything, and I'm I'm here to kind of learn, and to kind of see, and to kind of feel, and to enjoy, and and that will inform Pata's journey. How my trip to Lagos also informed a route to where Pata now is, and also made it easier for me to go to Nairobi and to be even more interested, So I think you get out of it what you put into it, basically, I think.
Yeah, and for myself, I'm always open for conversations. So I was also reached out by this photographer, Rogers Ojebook. He DM'd me one day on Instagram and was like, yo, let's work. I looked into his pictures and I was like, yo, he looks dope. He connected me with Juma, also other model, and we really made some things work. So for me, now I also extended my stay to 2 days. So I'm here to talk, to conversate. If you see me, reach out. Otherwise, DM me. We are here to conversate, to make things happen. Let's move.
I think it's the issue of what we need here. Patience. I feel like, for me personally, I feel like I always want things to be done by a certain date, certain this, but like waiting for the right time for something to happen, I feel like it's something important. And then the second thing is what you've also touched on earlier about just word of mouth, you know? If the person you ask for something can't help you and they know somebody who can, making those connections, not gatekeeping, valuable information that can help the community, helping each other out.
And also one thing, I wanna leave Nairobi also with my luggage empty. So, you know, make sure to reach out. All the clothes has to stay there so it has to find a nice home.
Even the thing what he needs is to buy today. Wana, Eben, Guillaume, thank you so much for all your thoughts.
Thanks so much.
For all the people spending your Sunday afternoon listening to people talking. And now there's music and booze.
So there's one more person after you. You're going on at 7.
Okay, come.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm here.
Yes.
Thank you, sis.
Yeah. Well spoken.
Thank you.
Well spoken.
Hey, bless. Thank you.
Thank you, my man.
We do need to find the
Such a
things
pleasure.
along.
You did a great job. Thank you.
Say hi to Eben.
You are very easy to work with. How are you doing? Good? Nice? Hey, Charlie, Bibi Aboko.
That's all, Charlie.